Hi guys, and welcome to another kit review. And today we're having a look at one of my favourite aircraft, which is of course the Messerschmitt ME262 A-1a, and this one of course is from Tamiya and it is in 1/48 scale. Okay, the kit number for this one is 61087, and it was released in 2002. Also released in 2002 was a version of the 262, which was a ME262 A-2a, which was the ground attack bomber version, so to speak, and that was released with a Kettenkrad towing vehicle. I think there may have been another 3 or 4 releases of Tamiya's 262 since then, at least a couple of which were fully clear 262s, so you can see the beautiful insides. Okay, so as I said, this kit came out in 2002. This one cost me around about $40 Australian. I've actually wanted to get this for a while, but they can be a little bit more pricey than that, and I've just been holding off because I've got too many kids anyway. But what the hell, Christmas is coming. Okay, anyway, so as you can see, beautiful Tamiya box art as usual. Really shows you the clean lines and the what would have been back then futuristic lines of one of the first operational jet fighters in the world. Okay, so that's the box cover. Let's have a look at the rest of it. So on the side you have another 262 in a different color scheme. This one belongs to Major Rudolf Zinner from a green one, 3rd JG7, March 1945. That's his profiles from above and from below. Brief history in Japanese. On the other side you have Red 13. This is by Oberleutnant Hans Bahr. Okay, so different color scheme again, same again. All right, and with this kit you do get the option of the missiles, I should say, rockets. So you've got air-to-air rocket, it says, and air-to-air rocket. There's 2 different types. And basically they were unguided missiles. Okay, all right, so that's what you see, that's what it is. Let's have a look inside. Instructions, these are modern instructions. A separate painting guide for White 3. Your decal sheet, which is fully comprehensive, and 1 sprue of the wings, 1 sprue of the instrument cockpit including a pilot figure, 1 sprue of the fuselage, 1 bag which is the engine nacelles and the clear parts, 1 bag which is the air-to-air rockets. Okay, so these are your air-to-air rocket pods, basically a tube or the R4Ms. Okay, and usual Tamiya use these tools kind of sheet. And most importantly, let's see if I can get it off, this bit. This is your heavy nose wheel. Okay, this is where your nose wheel goes in, and this is the weight to make sure that this she doesn't become a tail dragger. Okay, so that's what's in the box. In a second we'll have a look at the instructions and carry on. Okay, so let's have a look at the instructions. Whoops. Alright, so as you can see, this is actually a photo of the model. It does give you the measurements. She's 221 millimeters long and 264 millimeters wingspan. Brief history of the aircraft in English, German, French and Japanese. Recommended tools. Okay, it's always good to read the history. It's a brief history. If you want a more complex history of the 262 and its development, there's plenty of books and online resources out there. Okay, overleaf, you have got your colour callouts, as usual, all in Tamiya colours, but it's not really that hard to work out. There's plenty of resources out there which will tell you the correct RLM colours to use on this aircraft. Okay, usual warnings, and then we get back into, straight away, building the cockpit. And this is a very detailed cockpit. Does it have call outs all the way through, decals for the instruments. Okay, so very complex. I love it. You know, a lot of kit manufacturers could learn from building cockpits like this. Right, you don't have to be photo etch. This is just all plastic. There's no photo etch in this kit. Next we go on to the 30mm cannons. Okay, so the 262 did have, of course, 4 30mm cannons. The other version that Tamiya released in 2002 with this one, the A-2, only had 2 30mm cannons because it was carrying bombs under the nose, so they had to reduce the weight somehow. Okay, so next, just putting in the next bank of 30mm cannons into the nose, and then we carry on. So this is where you construct the nose wheel, and this is your nose weight. So it is actually the wheel bay and the inside of the nose. Okay, that's to make sure that this nose sits on the ground and doesn't just, the aircraft doesn't sit on its tail. And then we get to constructing fuselage halves. Cockpit goes in, guns go in, nose weight goes in, and as you can see, it does give you color callouts all the way through. Okay, this does have ribbing, internal ribbing, because as I said, later on Tamiya released clear versions of this aircraft. So obviously they already had it planned about the ribbing in the aircraft and what should be showing. Alright, so carrying on, we get to the wings. Fairly straightforward. This being a Tamiya kit, you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever putting the wings together. Rest of the cockpit, wings go on. Okay, these are your wheel bay doors, and as I said, color call outs all the way through. Okay, so pay attention to your color call outs. Then you've got your main undercarriage wheels. Okay, oh, and something I forgot to mention, you get a choice of nose wheel with or without treads. Okay, that will be your first option, as you can see. All right, so you do have options in this kit, and that's your first one. A nose wheel with or without tread on it. Might be a minor thing, but it is, depending on what aircraft you're building, a critical point. Okay, so then we carry on to undercarriage going on. Okay, so it does give you color callouts for the undercarriage supports, etc. Then you've got your, as you can see, engine nacelles, and again, the engine nacelles do have a ribbing detail inside because of the later variants that Tamiya brought out of this aircraft. They go on the bottom of the engines base. Okay, fairly straightforward. Next we've got, now this is your next options. These are your air-to-air rockets. You don't necessarily have to put these on. Okay, so these are your R4Ms, and then you get your bomb rack and also your WGR-21s. Okay, so literally these are air-to-air rockets. They were so potent that most of the time, if 262s were fitted with these, they would literally fly up, fire them into the bomber stream, fly away. They'd fire them all at once, and then when the bombers broke up, they'd head back in to shoot them down. Okay, so as you can see, your WGR 41s, 21s go on the front, where normally you would carry bombs if this was a bomber version, and your R4Ms go on the wing. Okay, you can leave those off completely. That's another option. Then we get to your pilot. Okay, front canopy painting, overleaf, pilot goes in. Okay, this is another option. As I said, you can have the inspection covers for the cannons open if you want to. Okay, and then we get to the cockpit, and you can have either a closed cockpit or an open cockpit. So there are a few options of how you want to display this aircraft. Okay, and then we get to applying the decals and painting. Fairly straightforward. These are just your common markings for all 262s. Okay, so that's why you just ignore the fact that it doesn't have any color on it. It's just showing you where to put all the warning labels, etc, etc. And the first aircraft we have a look at is Major Sinner's Green 1 again. Okay, as shown on the box top. Alright, next one is Oberleutnant Hans Bahr. He was quite a famous 262 pilot. Okay, that's his aircraft. And next we've got Unteroffizier Johann Karl Müller, his Red 3. Alright, so you do have those three, plus you also have this one. Okay, this is a 1/48 scale painting guide, so if you wanted to, you could actually cut this up and use it as a stencil, so to speak, to paint the camouflage on this. And this one is for Oberfahrnrich Hans Guido Milk White 3. Okay, so that's really good because yes, you can cut this up, overlay it on your wings, etc, and get the right pattern. Okay, so that's your painting guides. Let's have a look at the decals. And for those of you who are in European countries, etc, you may not get these. This kit does come with swastikas. Okay, so it is what it is. That is history. These aircraft wore swastikas, and you can't get away from that. But apart from that, fully comprehensive. Okay, beautiful, beautiful decals on here. All of your warning signs, your step here, don't step here signs, etc. So this is really comprehensive, and you would not need aftermarket decals with this kit unless you wanted to model one that was not included. And you do have 4 choices in this kit, so I'll give you a close-up of those, and in a second we'll have a look at the sprues. Okay, so let's have a look at the sprues, and we'll start with the largest one. As you can see, it is the bottom wing, top wing, classic 262 swept back. Okay, so let's have a closer look. Alright, so as you can see, it does have panel lines. They are very fine. Okay, very, very fine, but of course they would have to be. This is an aircraft that's designed to go as fast as possible. So those panel lines, they're not going to have major joins. They're actually going to be smoothed as flat as possible to give a really good airflow. Okay, same for the bottom. You can see there is some bolt detail, but it is very smooth, and this is what the real aircraft look like. So, you know, if you're going to get your scribe and make some nice panel lines in it, go for it, but it's not accurate to the actual aircraft. It's not a representative of the actual aircraft. It's just wrong. And these are your main undercarriage wheels and bulkheads for the cannon pod, so to speak, undercarriage leg, etc. So that is the 262's wings. Okay, beautifully done, and as I said, very smooth, very fine, much like I believe the Mustang. I believe on the P51 Mustang, they actually smoothed and sanded and filled the panel lines to give it a better slipstream. Okay, that's why you don't have panel lines on Mustang wings. Okay, so that is the largest sprue. The next sprue we'll have a look at is the fuselage, of course, and as you can see, another bulkhead. Okay, this is the front of the aircraft. Let's have a look at the fuselage, and there you have it. Again, beautiful panel lines, very smooth. Okay, there's your instrument panel. I might turn that around so it looks a little bit better. Instrument panel, okay, nicely done. Okay, beautiful doors. This is your pilot's armor behind his seat. Let's have a look at the other side. And there you have it. You do have the ribbing inside the fuselage. You won't see it in this kit, but it's there for the future kits. Okay, so that's really nice. And have a look. That's your cockpit, right? Really beautiful detail. Even the back of the instrument panel. So if you wanted to, not that you'll see it anyway, you could always put some wires and things hanging out the back of that, but that's really not necessary, is it? Okay, so that's a 262's fuselage. And next, we'll have a look at this one. So these are your engine pods. Okay, your fronts and backs. The pods themselves, again, very fine panel lines. Okay, but this is scale accurate. This is what panel lines would look like in 40A scale. Anyone who's ever seen a real aircraft, real jets, okay, commercial, real light planes, you won't be able to fit a piece of paper between those panel lines because you don't want to. The idea is to slipstream as much as possible. As you can see, there's your ribbing inside the engine nacelles and the, okay, these are your inspection hatches, by the way, for the 30mm cannon. It does have some mold points on it which will need to be taken care of, but the detailing is beautiful. Alright, this is a really nice kit. Right, so next we will have a look at this one. Okay, so this is your 30mm cannons, your nose wheel, your pilot figure, okay, and your engine. So these are for your engine, okay, and the detail on that is beautiful. So you do have a mix here. This is your pilot pedals, okay, internal instruments. That is your jet nozzles. Really beautiful detail on the wheels. Okay, there's your pilot. Nice detail on the pilot and very little cleanup. Even the 30mm cannons have some really sharp detail. Okay, so this kit is really nicely done, and if you can pick one of these up, add it to your collection. It's definitely recommended. Alright, so next we'll have a look at, this is almost the last sprue. These are your air-to-air missiles. Okay, these are your R4Ms. There's a couple more of your 30mm cannons. And these are your GR21s. Okay, so as I said, these are literally an accessory option. You don't have to put these on. The reason why these 30mm cannons are here is because, as I said, the other kit that came out in 2002 was the 2A, which only had two 30mm cannons. So this kit here will cover that. Okay. And then the last sprue is probably the most important one. This one. These are your clears. And have a look. They're beautiful. So yes, you can have an open or closed cockpit. Depending entirely how you want to set this up. You have an open cockpit, leave the pilot out, you'll be able to see all the instruments, etc. But they are very, very clear. No scratches, and they were in a separate bag inside a bag with another sprue, so no dramas there. I do love the way they are sharp. And the last thing I've got to show you is, well, piece of metal. That's it. That is your nose weight, sorry. There you go. Not much to see. You will usually have to use super glue, CA glue, whatever you want to call it, to stick the plastic parts to this. But this is enough weight to hold the aircraft on the ground. And that, guys, is it. That is Tamiya's 1/48 scale Messerschmitt 262 A-1a. Okay, released in 2002. Still available, still very popular, and like I said, if you can pick one of these up, if you haven't got one already, that is, add it to your collection. It's definitely worthwhile. It's a really nicely detailed kit, and I'm very pleased that I've got it. Anyway, as usual, that's the end of this one. Thank you for your subscriptions and your comments and your likes. And as usual, guys, until next time, take it easy, stay well, and I'll see you later.